Good morning, good evening, everyone. I hope you can be able to hear me.
Yes, we can.
Good evening to you.
Thank you. Good evening. I hope we are all good. Welcome to today's session. My name is Ndegenge. We're going to have welcome and recap. We're going to have I hope we'll go directly to the first so look at your screen.
Hello, Mr. Nege. I think your presentation just cleared. Okay. The screen for the poll. You can see it.
Okay. Any intentional biosecurity measures, and two, what's one of the reasons the farmer in your area might not follow basic biosecurity measures, even if they know them? From the poll, you'll find 71% had one or two biosecurity measures, 7% they had several, then 22% they had no clear measures observed. The most Prolific is lack of space, small knowledge, constraints, finance, negligence, awareness, cost, inadequate information, funds. So basically, a key role. Today's speaker, I would like to welcome just a minute. Okay. Dr. Eunice Achieno Omondi, who is a distinguished veterinarian and laboratory epidemiologist from Kenya. She works under the National Veterinary Reference Laboratory here in the headquarters, Nairobi. With over 12 years of experience in veterinary laboratory operations, she specializes on veterinary epidemiology, holding a Bachelor of Veterinary Medicine and a Master's of Science in Veterinary Epidemiology and Economics. She's a perfect facilitator for this session, since we are talking about how we want to implement biosecurity measures, but we have constraints which might be able to prevent farmers from implementing responsible biosecurity measures. Dr. Omondi plays pivotal food safety, representing the Directorate of Veterinary Services in projects, multiple projects. She is an assistant director at the National Veterinary Reference Laboratory results, conduct risk analysis for hatchery inspections, and ensures compliance with health safety standards. In 2020, Scientific Exchange Program at the University of Tennessee, enhancing our knowledge on animal health governance and improve veterinary services in Kenya. She's also an active participant of seminars, workshops, sharing her expertise on AMR and One Health approaches to combat global health. Let us Achieno Omondi with some clubs, reaction clubs. Doc, you can be able to share your screen. If you're speaking, you're on mute.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Welcome everyone to this session. I'm going to take you through a session on strengthening biosecurity and combating AMR. Let me try and make it as a slideshow first, then I share.
You can first close the slides, drop the screen, put it on presentation mode, then you can bring it back. Click on view at the top.
I hope I've stopped sharing. View, under view. Next. I don't have a view icon here from my laptop.
Able to send the PowerPoint to share from my end.
Let me share so that you can share from your end.
Sawa sawa.
I've shared it. Hello?
Yes, yes. Let me look for it. Hi, Doc. I don't know if you're able to see it now.
Yes, now I can see it. Thank you very much.
Okay,
I can continue.
yes, now you can continue. Thank you.
Apologies, participants, for the delay and for the technical hitches. We're going to have an interactive session on strengthening biosecurity and combating AMR with an aim of empowering Kenyan smallholder poultry pharmacy for a healthier future. So next. Yeah, so we want to look at what biosecurity and AMR concepts have as far as the poultry farming is concerned. We understand biosecurity as vital measures designed to prevent the introduction and spread of infectious diseases within our poultry farms. And by having biosecurity in place, we have like a protective shield for our flock. So diseases do not necessarily cross over to our beautiful animals, and they don't come down with diseases. Then when it comes to AMR, this occurs when the bacteria or pathogens evolve and become resistant to the very antimicrobials we administer to the various livestock species to treat them. And this, by the end of the day, makes it very difficult to cure some of these diseases. Next. Next, please. Yeah. As far as we are concerned, we know that AMR, that is antimicrobial resistance, is a silent pandemic. And this started, it was realized when a situational analysis was carried out. And it came clear that this is not only a national, regional problem, but it's a global problem, which has really posed a challenge because infections are becoming hard to treat, and illnesses are taking long to cure. And with that, we are having a lot of high mortality because of the resistance of pathogens to most of the medications. And the key drivers of AMR are the widespread misuse and overuse of these antibiotics in human health and also in agriculture, animal fostering resistance. But as from the Kenyan context, antimicrobials are widely used in Kenyan poultry farms without proper veterinary supervision, and this significantly exacerbates the AMR risk within our communities. Next, please. So from our Kenya smallholder poultry landscape, we have quite, this is the photo on your right is posted, shows a farmer with the traditional poultry, the indigenous poultry, and that is a farmer trying to, with an enclosed setup with the indigenous poultry breeds and trying to give feeds. So we know that they maintain their breeds with minimal mechanization and advanced infrastructure. As you can see there, it's just a makeshift fenced out space. And in most cases, most of these poultry are not fenced out. They're just kept indoors at night, but in the morning, you open the door, then they go free range outside, and they come back in the evening. They know their place. So traditional rearing is a common thing. Most farmers hardly have these hardy indigenous breeds, and they often free range, and they have controlled environments. They know their space of looking for feed and other sources of nutrients. High disease burden occurs due to inadequate biosecurity, and also due to poor housing and mixed species, keeping disease incidence remaining unacceptably high. Because you realize when you have this chicken and turkey and the ducks, when you keep them together, there are those pathogens which are like a normal flora in the turkeys, but when there's a crossover to chicken, the chicken succumbs to some disease. So that makes mixed farming also pose a challenge to some of these rural farmers or poultry farmers. Then there's also unregulated drug use. Poultry medications are frequently used without veterinary prescriptions because we have our veterinary pharmacy shops where most farmers go and just buy antimicrobials over the counter, and without knowing the proper dose or what to treat against. They just administer, even if it's a viral or it's not even a microbial condition. Maybe it's a vitamin deficiency, but a farmer ends up administering antimicrobial without knowing that this is the wrong medication for that purpose at that time. So these unique characteristics present both opportunities and specific challenges for diseases and disease prevention, antimicrobial and antimicrobial stewardship. Next, please. So we want to look at the foundations of farm biosecurity, and we have key practices outlined here. So one of the key tasks that needs to be put in place for us to be safe is to implement robust biosecurity measures to safeguard our flock health and productivity. Then also there's need to have a fencing and rigorously controlled access to the farm premises to prevent entry of disease carriers. You realize that these serious farmers, poultry farmers, not even serious farmers, these poultry farmers, they keep their birds, but when it comes to marketing, people just walk around and to see what type of birds do you have, the age group, and if they are able to buy or not. So by people walking around the villages from one farm to another, you don't know what one is carrying from the without proper biosecurity. You don't have a footbath, you don't have a like a proper PPE to access the farms. Maybe even this chicken don't have even housing. So you just find them free range. You just visualize them from the compound and then you walk your way. But when these birds come and walk, feed from the places where people were walking around with contaminated shoes, they pick these pathogens and then they fall ill. So these are one of the key challenges which farmers are facing. Also, there's need to implement effective rodent and wild bird control programs, as these pests can carry and spread diseases. We know very well that rodents are quite a challenge. If you don't have proper poultry house, these rodents, they invade these poultry houses, they feed on the poultry feeds. Sometimes they attack the young chicks, and it poses a challenge. This causes a loss to the farmers. And also for the wild birds, we know they are notorious. They are suspects for the avian influenza spread and other viral diseases. So there's need to have a proper proper rodent and wild bird control mechanisms in a farm to prevent disease spread. Also, there's need to have regular clean and disinfected housing, equipment, footwear to minimize pathogen survival. So this is also important, but farmers still face challenge when it comes to purchase of disinfectant or even having the right equipment in place to manage the poultry flock. We also find it necessary to ensure consistent and timely vaccination of poultry to build immunity against common diseases. So there is also this comes in when extension officers takes these farmers through the various vaccination schedules and what should be given, which vaccine should be given at what time and at which conditions. And also when administering these vaccines, you should emphasize, do not administer vaccine to a sick bird. If the bird is sick, say isolate it, treat it. Once it heals is when you can administer vaccine. But when you just sell vaccine and then it's at day 17 administer, at week 20 administer, they'll just administer without knowing that when a bird is sick, it should not be vaccinated. You know very well when a bird is vaccinated, it worsens even the immune reaction and the bird dies. So this is very important information to relate to the farmers. However, the adoption of these measures is often hindered by farmers' knowledge gap, financial limitations, and inadequate access to essential inputs. So next. Next, please. So we are going to look at some of these barriers. We have 3 key barriers. So I'm going to take you through the first barrier. As you can see from the photo on your right, that is a farmer with an adult, a mature bird and some eggs. the farmer is willing to sell the eggs and birds so that she can get some income to cater for some of the domestic expenses or do something else besides which is pressing. But you realize that there are other issues which come in that makes it difficult for them to sustain the poultry farming. So financial and economic constraints pose significant hurdles to adopting improved biosecurity practices. And we are focusing at three different aspects. That is the high initial costs. You consider the expense of materials and infrastructure. This also always discourage farmers when you tell them to ensure that the birds have proper housing. When they think of the buying of the materials to set up a house and to ensure that there's robust biosecurity, they really look at the cost and they just turn away and prefer go back to their system of free range. And though it's good to emphasize on the impact of biosecurity when it comes to proper housing. Then short-term focus. Farmers typically prioritize the immediate out-of-pocket cost. What will I benefit when I sell these eggs, when I sell these birds after like a month or after 3 months or after 6 months? I'm going to make some good money compared to when I'm having those long-term benefits of disease prevention and having proper biosecurity. And yeah, so to them, they look at their perception is different from what we are looking at. So they have that short-term focus, and it's always very good to just take them through and make them understand that despite besides the short-term focus, we also have the long-term focus. So they have to have that long-term focus of considering having the best facilities in place and to minimize disease spread so that they have more birds and better production. Cheap substitutes. Farmers do go for affordable antimicrobials, and these are readily available from the vet pharmacy shops. And this always becomes a challenge when there's a lot of they don't understand what to administer and how, because they go for the cheap option without proper prescription. So they just buy just for the sake of protecting their birds, but that is not the aim at the end of the day. So they use them, but biosecurity, it is not as a source of biosecurity, but over-reliance, frequent administration of antimicrobial with the aim of protecting the birds from diseases leads to resistance, such that when the birds fall sick from something else, they administer the same medication. These birds are not able to respond to these medications, and by the end of the day, the farmer loses maybe most of the birds or maybe all the birds in the flock. So this has to be really brought out well to the farmers, so for them to understand that it's not good to really go for the cheap medication, cheap substitutes, or even just administer the medication with an perception of protecting the birds from diseases. Next, please. The next barrier. Next slide, yes. Barrier 2, it comes to knowledge and awareness gaps. This is a critical challenge leading to limited understanding among most poultry farmers, and they don't understand this aspect of antimicrobial use and even what this biosecurity means to us. One of them is misconception abound. Many farmers lack adequate knowledge of the principles of responsible antimicrobial use, and they often misinterpret dosage or application. So they just administer as per what I've just explained in the previous presentation. They just administer medication for the sake of it. You've sold this drug. Most of them are in powder form, and then they don't know which how much to do. They have the sachets, but they don't know how many liters of water do they use to dissolve formulate this medication so that they put it in the poultry house for the birds to drink. But people just when they feel that when I put all this sachet in water, sometimes they feel like when I put all this sachet in water, this powder in water, it will get finished very fast. So they underuse. They put a limited quantity so that the drug does not finish very fast. So by the end of the day, they either underdose or overdose. So it's a two-way. So there's a lot of misconception around antimicrobial administration, and this should be brought out well by the extension officers or even the animal health service provider who take care of these birds. Then we also have a very big problem, prophylactic use. This is a common misunderstanding which leads to antimicrobials being used preventatively or as growth promoters rather than for targeted treatment. So you realize that even these farmers, sometimes they formulate their own feeds at home, and when they are formulating these feeds, they add some antimicrobials, and they tell you that when they add this, they mix these antimicrobials in their feeds, it protects their birds from becoming sick. So this should be brought out well, and they should be told that there is nothing like prophylactic use, and this is not safe. It's not like it's a food safety concern, because when these birds keep on feeding on these antimicrobials, by the time you are slaughtering them, you have your poultry meat with a lot of antimicrobial residue, and this poultry meat is now becomes unsafe for human consumption. So this has to be brought out well to the farmers. Then also self-administration risk. Farmers frequently administer drugs themselves without veterinary prescription, proper dosage adherence, or observation of critical withdrawal periods. Those ones I've just explained. Yeah, you as a vet pharmacist owner, a vet pharmacy shop owner, you sell the drug to a layman, and you know very well they don't understand the principle how to administer this medication. Sometimes they go mess around, and it really pose a lot of health risk to us, because it's the same bird you are going to sell, and it's going to be slaughtered, and it is going to be consumed by human beings. So these residues are consumed by human beings, and they pose health threat to us by the end of the day. So it's very important to have some extension services, or to have this stewardship in place. Yeah. We go to barrier, barrier 3, insufficient veterinary support. So we have limited access to very qualified veterinary and technical support, severely hampering the disease management and AMR prevention efforts. So the scarcity of vets. Vet professionals are scarce, particularly in remote Kenyan counties like Kajiado and Machakos, leaving farmers without expert knowledge guidance. So the farmers are left to work on their own, take care of the animals. They are the farmers, they are the vet professionals, then they are everything. So this poses a challenge to them. And also over-reliance on agrovet services. They also, just what I've explained, they resort to purchasing antimicrobials from agrovets, which may not provide comprehensive guidance on proper use or potential side effects. So they just go buy medication stock in their homes. So when they see any bird that looks thrifty, they just administer. Sometimes they use the wrong method of administration. A medication that is meant for intramuscular route is given orally or through any other route, which is by the end of the day challenge pose a lot of health risk to these birds. Also, quality and regulation. These concerns persist regarding the quality, authenticity, and regulatory oversight of veterinary drugs available in the market. We are still facing, as much as there's a regulatory body which oversees the antimicrobials which come in, there's also a challenge in who these black markets, medications which come through the black markets, and they are bought over the table in livestock markets and administered to our poultry flock. So another challenge is the social, cultural, and behavioral factors. So deep-rooted customs and social norms significantly influence antimicrobial use and biosecurity adoption among smallholder farms. So one of them is the long-standing habits that often lead to routine prophylactic use of antimicrobials for disease prevention rather than targeted treatment. And then prevailing social norms may downplay the importance of biosecurity, with farmers prioritizing the immediate perceived benefits of antibiotics over preventive measures. Lastly is the environmental risk, which leads to inadequate waste disposal practices and use of antimicrobial in multi-species farms, contributing to environmental AMR risk and impacting wider economic systems. And the photo there shows like a rural setup. Go to barrier 4, sorry. This is a rural setup where this is like a traditional kitchen. This is where the birds sleep, and mostly this is how most indigenous birds are reared. They are free range and they know their place. In the evening, it's like they're going back to the kitchen. They know their sleeping place. In the morning, they'll walk out. They'll just walk out and go rear, find their own means of food and water. Yeah. And the birds there look thrifty. One of them looks sick. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Just to the next slide. So as a youth, the way forward, regarding strategies and youth engagement, there's need to strengthen the national action plan on AMR, focusing on the prudent use of antimicrobial and education. And then we need to promote a holistic One Health approach, integrating human, animal, and environmental health efforts, and then intensify farmer awareness through peer learning, practical demonstration, and accessible veterinary services. This we started some times back. That is last year but one. We use farmer field schools whereby we engage a group of farmers in a certain location, and we enlighten them on AMR and the importance of farm biosecurity, and also advocating strict adherence to withdrawal periods and safe disposal of antimicrobials and poultry waste. This is also what we did in the farmer field schools, and we really saw a lot of improvements in some of the counties where we did this sensitization. Next, please. Next slide. So what is the chatting the path forward? The crucial role of youth AMR champions. We need a lead community education to shift behaviors away from antimicrobial use, and also advocate for policies enforcing responsible antimicrobial use and biosecurity, and leverage social media and local networks to amplify vital AMR prevention messages. So from this presentation, we have a short individual reflection. Ask yourself, well, what action can you take after this session? What can you do from this presentation? What have you learned? And what can you do to enlighten our farmers so that they desist from unnecessary antimicrobial use? Next, please. Next slide. Yeah, so that's just a photo of some of the poultry farm setups in the rural areas. So as you ask yourself, what action can you take to enlighten our farmers and to enlighten the society as far as AMR is concerned? So next slide, the last slide, I think that is the last slide. Yeah, thank you very much. And thank you for listening. So we can engage in some interactions. And in case you have questions, we can now engage in some conversations and see how we can chat our way forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Eunice, for the wonderful presentation you've made. I think it has jogged our mind so that as we go to the breakout sessions, what the participants were able to see during the week. They had an assignment to visit a farm. They are going to discuss whatever they saw and if they correlate broader challenges you've mentioned here. So I will take only 2 sessions. If you have a question, kindly raise your hand. If you have a question, you only have 3 seconds to raise your hands. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Now we'll go to the breakout session. Then when we come back, we're going to get back to the Q&A, and we're going to get feedback from whatever you are going to discuss. So for the breakout session, this is the scenario for today. Let me share my screen. You remember Mr. With Mr. Africa here. So Mr. Africa has now started a third cycle of broiler farming. After losing some birds to disease last round, he's trying to be more. His budget is tight, and he hasn't been able to buy proper disinfectant. He uses ash at the door, but sometimes forgets to refill it. The brooder space is still shared with older birds. He tried isolating one sick bird in cardboard, but his younger brother released it while playing. Neighbors often ask to buy birds directly from his home. He says the vet is too expensive, and sometimes agrovet gives conflicting advice. He also doesn't want to appear rude by restricting visitors from seeing his bird. So you're going to discuss your responses. The three real barriers facing Mr. Africa right now. Two, if you had to choose one to tackle first, which one will it be and why? How will you help him overcome the barrier without criticizing him? And the last one is what low-cost or community-led alternative might work in this case. So today we have 8 breakout sessions. Everyone is assigned automatically, so you're going to start the conversation. You only have 10 minutes. Then we're going to come back, converge, then have the final talks, as we call it, a day. So I'm opening the rooms. Doc, you can feel free to join in any group. Maybe you can listen in, jump to another group. You can take a breath before we come back in the next 10 minutes.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you. I hope you are all back. Some people are still in their group sessions.
They are now coming back, I think, the next few seconds. Yes, I think we're all back. Thank you all for joining in the breakout sessions. I would like to hear from you. A volunteer from each breakout session, please raise your hand so that I can start picking from you so that you can tell us your experience and whatever you discussed. Please raise your hand if you are selected as the representative. We'll start with Veronica.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Okeke Veronica Achieno Omondi, from Nigeria. So we discussed about the three real barriers Mr. Africa is facing right now. I and my team were able to deduce that three of the main barriers he's facing right now is finances, separation of older birds from new ones, and separation of sick ones from healthy ones, and also preventing people from passing through his farm or getting into his farm without proper sanitation. So we also, for the second section, we chose that separating older birds from new birds and younger ones from new birds and sick ones from healthy ones is the problem we think he should tackle first. How we can help him overcome this barrier. So we say that how to help him overcome this barrier is by asking him to use local materials around him, which will not cost him much, like woods and bamboo around his property, to build simple pens for his birds. Instead of him to like go and break his bank or do something very expensive, he can just use it to create pens that his brother cannot destroy or open when he's not around. That is something simple. And I think that also covers for something low cost and community-led alternative that can work in his case. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Veronica, for the wonderful insights. Next is Boniface Gadege. Boniface.
Okay, thank you. So my name is Boniface from Kenya. Okay, together with my group, we were able to discuss all the questions and we came up with these responses. So for the first one, that is the three real barriers facing West Africa right now. We talked about the financial constraint because he can't afford proper disinfectant or veterinary services. When the second one, that is the poor biosecurity practices, that is sharing space with older birds, forgetting to refill lack of proper isolation for sick birds, and visitors entering freely. The third one, that is the conflicting or unreliable advice, that is the expensive vet services, and confusing them with the agrovet guidance, leaving him uncertain about the best practices. When the second question, the best choice here to tackle first, we talked about the biosecurity practices because even with limited money, simple improvements such as the proper isolation, controlled access, and consistent use of available materials can significantly reduce disease spread and prevent losses. And also we said that this method will help him save him money in long-term land. Went to the third question, how he can overcome this barrier without criticizing him in a polite way. Then, okay, in a polite way, we talked about, okay, that is appreciating him and acknowledging his effort first of all. Then after that, we suggest some small affordable improvement. That is okay, we encourage him use assigning a responsible person, not a child, to handle isolation. Make a daily routine checklist for refilling ash, so it's not forgotten. Yeah. And this could encourage him by showing how those small steps will reduce losses and save him money also. Went to the fourth question. The low cost or community-led alternative might work in his cases. We talked about, okay, having ash, mixing it with lime and soap water, which are affordable disinfectant alternatives. And also we talked about the visitor management signs to politely limit exposure. Then the shared equipment among trusted farmers. And yeah, and also the farmer training group to share correct information and reduce reliance on conflicting advices. Those are the things we talked about with my group. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gadege. Next is Dal Omondi. Please be brief and.
So today with my group we discuss about all the questions and Roman 1 it was about the veterinary services which are too expensive for him to afford. The economic constraints, we were told about the tight budget. His pockets are not that full to help him improve the security measures. Then the knowledge and awareness. Then on Roman 2, we went with one barrier he could tackle first was we went with knowledge and awareness. Educating his neighbors about the direct coming to his farm to buy the birds or eggs, educating him about them about the biosecurity practices could help him reduce the entry of pathogens into the farm. Then Roman 3, how to approach him and how to approach and help him overcome the barrier. We discussed about the physical approach. You can approach him physically, explain to him using simple words, appreciate the effort he has done by like changing the ash, but of which he did do consistently, but you can appreciate him for doing that. Explaining to him the effect of not practicing the biosecurity measures can be in a polite way can help him improve. And then Roman 4 went with the low cost measures. We went with consistent ash refill because he used to do that but not consistently. If he does that consistently, it can help reduce the entry of pathogens. Then the separation of the bird, he can separate them according to age because since his pockets are tight and we are told he at least has a cardboard, he can use those cardboards to separate the brood and separate the then restrain the accessibility from the neighbors. If you restrain, at least the level of pathogen entry will reduce, and that will help you maximize on profit. That's what we had.
Thank you. Next is Joy.
All right, thank you. So I'm representing group 4. My name is Joy Kalue from Zambia. So for the first question, what are the 3 real barriers that he's facing? So my group and I discussed the economic constraints that he is facing. His budget is tight. Then the lack of knowledge. We talked about lack of knowledge and awareness. Then insufficient veterinary support, because he's saying that the vets are expensive, so he's not consulting the vets. So we said if we had to choose one that we'll tackle first, it would be the knowledge gap that seems to be there in Mr. Africa. So he is not consulting vets to get proper information from them on what he needs to do generally. So we said on number 3, how would help him overcome it, that lack of knowledge, would tell him the impact of the people that he doesn't want to offend. He's saying he doesn't want to be rude to the people that are coming to his farm. So we know that humans are the biggest, they're the ones that bring disease to these farms. So we would tell him that, yes, it's he doesn't want to be rude to his farmers, but he can tell them, educate them in a polite way, which comes to the low cost or community-led alternative that would want to implement is maybe having a training in his neighborhood, maybe telling Mr. Africa would love to maybe have an opportunity to train him and the people in his neighborhood. The training would help fill that knowledge gap. So his family and his friends, from the information that they'll get from the training, they would see the role that they play in disease transmission. And I think they would help Mr. Africa's farm as well. They would know what to do when going to his farm, as well as him, even when they go to his farm, when he tells them, no, you need to wash your hands because we've offered the training, sorry, he would, they would follow. So that's what we discussed in my group.
Thank you, Joy. Next is Osho. Osho Opeyemi.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you. Go on.
All right. Yeah, me and my group, we discussed the 3 main barriers we identify is struggling with financial constraint, which limits his ability to buy disinfectant or hire a vet. Second, there is a clear biosecurity gap. His birds of different ages are kept together. Sick birds are not properly isolated, and visitors move in and out freely. And lastly, there is a knowledge and support gap because he is receiving conflicting advice and also has challenges controlling family involvement, like his younger brother interfering with the sick bird. If we had to choose one to address first, me and my group, we said we will focus on improving biosecurity practice because the reason is simple. Prevention is always cheaper than treatment. Even with a small budget, it makes simple adjustments that will protect his birds, reduce losses. To support him without criticizing him, we discussed that we will first of all appreciate Mr. Africa for his efforts he has already made, like attempt to isolate sick birds. Then we will suggest a low-cost practice step such as using affordable disinfectants like lime or ash to food baths, keeping a dedicated small space for sick birds, and politely restricting visitors by placing a clear sign instead of having to say no face to face, because it's not going to be easy for his family. This way, he doesn't feel judged, but rather empowered. Then to the last question, some community-led solution could also help. For example, an area can contribute to shared vet fund, like 2 or 3 farmers can come together and pay for a vet consultation. Then 3 of them will be there. The vet will talk to them and enlighten them on biosecurity. They could also form a small support group to share consistent, reliable guidance. With these collective and low-cost strategies, Mr. Africa can gradually overcome his challenges while protecting his vets. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Osho, for the great inputs. Chidima?
Hello, good day, sir.
Good evening.
I'm Onukwa Chidima Precious, and I'm representing Group 8. For the first question, the 3 barriers we took into account was the financial constraints, the knowledge and awareness gap, then insufficient vet support. And we can see the financial constraints based on the fact that he was using ash at the door and he couldn't buy proper disinfectant. And then for the knowledge gap, due to the fact that he can't afford a proper vet and the conflicting ideas given to him by the agrovets. And then for the knowledge, due to the fact that he doesn't have the right knowledge on what to do, he still doesn't know which step to take. Then for the second one, the barrier I would like to tackle first is the knowledge gap, because it is the most easy, in fact, it's the easiest and the most impactful. Then, as for what it would be, we would educate him on the fact that some of the ideas that he's unable to verify properly from the agrovets, will tell him which one is which, correct him on how to go about some things, the proper disinfectants to buy, how to clean the farm very well as a biosecurity measure, and even to keep the entry point of the farm neat. Then for the third one, which is how would we help him overcome the barrier without criticizing him, I would explain to him calmly and tell him the impact of what will happen with the mixing up of the broilers and what impact it would have with the visitors entering his farm. For how we are going to do that, to separate the older birds from the young or the newly introduced ones, he can get blocks, unused blocks in maybe uncompleted buildings or places that just finished building houses, and do a movable partition in the farm. Then for the how to tell the visitors entering his farm, once he explains to them the impact it will have on his financial source or his source of income, they would understand and try to keep away, especially his family members. Then as for what low cost or community-led alternatives that might work in his case, what we will do is to organize peer learning and community education. Once we organize that, he will be able to learn from his peers. Other farmers would also be able to learn from him what he's doing to keep his farm going. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chindimo. Penina, as we close.
Thank you so much, Ndege. For our group, we were able to tackle question 1 and 2. We didn't manage question 3 and 4. So question 1, one of the barriers that we identified as mentioned was the economic barrier, the issue of funding. Given that he had a tight budget, he could not be able to buy proper disinfectants. And again, he also found the vet too expensive. Then the other one was knowledge barrier and awareness. Things were happening in his farm. Sometimes he's not aware. So like the ash at the door is depleted and sometimes he forgets to refill it. The younger brother has released a sick bird, and while playing, I don't think he's aware, because if he is, maybe he would have returned it. So there are things that he also needs to check. Again, also the issue of conflicting advice that he's receiving. So then the other one was sociocultural, where he's and behavior, where he feels he may be rude by virtue of just restricting visitors to come in to access his farm. So what we discussed as the best, one of the measures we implement was knowledge. And this is because knowledge is power, and even sometimes you may have the finances, but if you do not have the proper understanding of how to utilize those finances and put them, prioritize where to allocate them, then it may be not useful to you even having the funding. So we thought him addressing the issue of knowledge and awareness barrier, then we'll be able to assist him to institute proper biosecurity measures in his farm that will enable him proceed well. So for the other two questions, we have benefited from the other discussions from the other groups. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wambui, for being honest that you are not able to tackle question 3 and 4, but we've gained invaluable insights from the other 7 teams. And I would like to invite Eunice, Dr. Eunice, to come and wrap up with her thoughts and also share some of the observations that she has made and what she thinks as an expert is fairly workable across borders. Here we do have people from different countries. We have from Kenya, Nigeria, Uganda, Zambia. We do have quite a lot of countries represented here. So, Dr. Eunice, this is your time.
Thank you very much for inviting me once again to the session. I appreciate all your efforts for the going through the question and giving out very good answers. It shows that you really followed up the presentation and you are able to pick a lot of information from what I was presenting. For sure, Mr. Africa is undergoing a lot of challenges, but that does not mean that we just let it go. And one notorious thing we know with the broiler farmers is that they know these birds don't stay for long. Maybe 2 months at on the higher side. If they go higher, maybe 2.5 months. That is around 8 to 10 weeks. Then they get rid of the flock because at that point they've reached the market weight, so they sell them out, then bring in a new flock. So biosecurity still remains a key issue. I'm very happy you are able to go through the question and really come out with the real case answers. Like the farmer really is facing economic constraints. They're looking at the farmer looks at what he will benefit by the end of the day, but not what he should implement to ensure that his margin goes up when it comes to making profit. So it's always good to advise the farmers to improvise. If they cannot buy proper disinfectants, they can improvise that, like what you are saying, ash and lime, and to ensure that they properly disinfect their shoes or their feet when they are getting into the birds' houses. Also, knowledge remains a gap. We know, thank you very much, Dr. Penina, for mentioning that knowledge is power. We are here, we are learning. And whatever we are learning here, we don't take it for granted. You don't know where you might end up someday, or you might end up establishing your own poultry farm. And this information can really come in handy to help you run your poultry farm successfully. So if you have proper knowledge in terms of identifying what to put in place, what infrastructure to put for your birds, and what disinfectants to use, and what is this knowledge you know as far as bird poultry production is concerned, to ensure that you get proper margins by the end of your little enterprise or your investment. So I really appreciate this, and let us not end it here. I encourage you, wherever you go, this is AMR. Let us continue campaigning for AMR, especially for our small-scale farmers. They really face a lot of challenges, but they fear talking out loud because they feel like people will feel like they are stupid, but they are not. It's only that not, even me, there are some things I don't know, and I'm always open and ready to learn new things every day. So anywhere you go and wherever you are providing your services, ensure that you mention something to do with antimicrobial resistance. What are its impacts, and what is why should we ensure that we use these antimicrobials in the right way? So let us not let the community or the society misuse the antimicrobials for the sake of protecting themselves or protecting their livestock from diseases. So thank you very much for this opportunity and for taking your time to participate in this active session. And we look forward for more and more presentation next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Eunice, for accepting the invite to come here today and share your expertise with us. We appreciate your time. This juncture, I would like to invite my colleagues from Bioshield Squad to have a word. I will start with any order. You can unmute yourself and go on. Either Wendy, Blessing, Ahmed. Winfred.
Good evening from Nigeria, Dr. Eunice, and thank you so much for the moderation, Mr. Ndege. Really appreciate that. I just want to express my deep appreciation and gratitude to Dr. Eunice for facilitating this session and also impacting us with so much from a pool of expertise, a pool of knowledge rather. And I want to also, I believe that not only me, but everyone here has learned one or two things from today's session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Wendy. Okay. So this juncture, I'd like us to have a look at the assignment for this week before we call it a day. However, the assignment are going to be shared via email, so you don't have to worry about it. So participants, you may revisit the previously observed and selected farm. Then you're going to make the following observation. What is one of the barriers that you observed? What do you think this barrier? Why do you think this barrier exists? And what low-cost community-based solution could help reduce this barrier? And what will be your first step in introducing this solution? You may not need to revisit the farm if you do have the answers. So you're just going to fill in the link that is going to be shared by email, and you're going to get your assignments. From my end, I don't have anything else other than to appreciate our esteemed participants for being patient with us, and most especially to our facilitator for the day, Dr. Eunice Omondi from Ministry of Agriculture in Kenya. Thank you very much for coming in today. I know it's beyond working hours and not a working day, but you're able to come to facilitate this session. Otherwise, I don't have anything else other than wishing you a nice evening. See you tomorrow for the evening session. Bye-bye.
Picture.
Bye. Thank you.
Open your cameras for picture. Let me, you can open your camera for picture. Just a minute. Yes. Hey, today you're smiley. Those from Nigeria and Western countries are happy. It is still early. Here in Kenya, it's very dark. Ahmed, I hope you're taking screenshots.
Oh, sorry. I'm currently not with my laptop. Can anybody with a laptop take
Okay,
it?
let me
Yeah.
take screenshots. Number one.
I signed up. I signed off my laptop already. I'm using my phone now.
Okay. Page 2. Then page 3. Page 4, the last one. Okay, everything set. We can now call it a day. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.